I have a problem with the naming conventions of submarine sandwiches.
All right, I can be down with this.
Welcome to the BXG podcast, recorded on the mean streets of Western Pennsylvania to the sandy shores of Santa Barbara, California. I am one of your hosts, Bretton Beswick, alongside my co-host, a man who spent 20 years in a coma, Greg Filson. How are you tonight, Greg?
Just waking up from it, Brenton. Good to see you. You look much older than I remember.
Right.
This is weird. Yeah. How are you?
Probably a little grayer than you remembered.
Yes.
Little.
That was a fatter. I would just say robust.
Robust?
Yeah.
Robust.
I'm saying robust. I'm trying to make it sound cleaner.
I think
robust makes it sound French.
When you were in that coma, I think you might have lost your control of the English language.
It's probable. Yeah, who knows?
Part of the coma.
20 years.
Yeah. A score, some would say.
A score, indeed. Some would say.
Yeah. Former President Abraham Lincoln. I like how you say former President Abraham Lincoln like he was president like 20 years ago and not
150
250 years
ago.
ago.
200, yeah.
150 years ago.
150 years ago.
Our
country's so young. Our country's so young, Brendan.
I know. I don't care for it. I don't like current events. You know? I don't like current events.
Other countries are like, we have history dating back 2,000 years.
Yeah.
US,
I mean, still kind of current
Yeah.
events. I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
But, you know, I have a problem with the naming conventions of submarine sandwiches.
All right. I can be down with this.
Because they have so many possible names. There's the submarine, obviously, which then there's the torpedo, which just is a take on a submarine. What I don't understand is hero, hoagie, po' boy.
Well, I would say a po' boy is definitely like down in the South Louisiana region for all our
for all of our
listeners in New Orleans. If you're down in New Orleans, you're just listening to the BSG's podcast. That I understand. Everything else, I literally don't understand.
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Like hoagie is even to me like a hoagie's like a hot sub. Like I want a meatball hoagie.
I just always say, honestly, like I just call everything a sandwich, and like that's how I look at every single sandwich. And if you go into a sub shop, it's a sandwich. It's just a longer sandwich.
Okay, so the name hoagie. So we're getting historical.
We're getting deep in the weeds, which I love it.
Also, other things, grinders, also called a grinder.
Grinder, yeah.
Although I'm not a big fan of that, just for other reasons.
Grinding.
Yeah, okay. So the origin of the hoagie was likely it came from the Philadelphia area, where during World War I,
Nothing from Philadelphia is ever good, so we don't have to worry about that.
Italian immigrants who worked at the Hog Island shipyard began making sandwiches. They were originally called hoggies before the hoagie name.
We just discount Philadelphia and we can move on with that. So
move on from hoagie.
Yeah, we can just move on. Philadelphia, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons played there. We don't have to worry about that.
We don't have to worry about their basketball team. This is sandwich related.
I just mean like
hero.
Those are the kind of people.
The hero, okay, was basically likely came from the New York Herald Tribune columnist. This is a name, Clementine Paddleworth. Sounds like a fucking Batman.
Jesus
villain.
Christ, how am I gonna name my kid now? I can't. That was literally the names of my child. And you're killing me right now.
Tell me that doesn't sound like something Batman slapped the shit out of him.
Oh my god. Clementine.
Oh, okay. So Clementine said it was a girl. Clementine said in 1936 described the sandwich as so large, you need to be a hero to eat it. In that case, I'm everybody's hero because I've never met a sub that I couldn't take down. It's a sub.
I've never met a sub sandwich that I've never been able to take down. I will say I just call everything a sub sandwich.
I don't like that.
You don't like that?
What's another? What's the what was the other one? Po' boy?
Po' boy. That's Louisiana, and that's actually a different sandwich. They put
New Orleans, the so-called
they
poor
put
boy.
stuff that it was for poor people, and they fit whatever
streetcar strike.
This actually makes sense. It was a shortened term of like this is what you put poor people food in.
Yeah,
and that's
you
what
put
you eat.
Poor people for.
Yeah, they put poor people food in.
What if you just had a sandwich and it was just fucking ramen noodles?
You call that cowboy, a college person.
Yeah, college person.
A cowboy. We just trademark that, TM that shit. Fuck, if I hear some other person say that, BXG podcast, I swear to God, I will sue the shit out of you.
I wonder if it's a
cowboy. A cowboy. Ramen noodles between two hunks of bread.
Yeah.
I swear to shit, if I see it, I will lose my mind.
There's cowboy figurines. They're like little gnomes, whatever.
Not trademarked.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
We're talking about some sandwiches, Brenton.
Yeah, I had one for dinner and I was just like, it comes with the package that has all the different names on it. And I'm just like, why? It's a sub.
So did you buy this from a place? What was your deal? I do want to know this before.
No, I just got a sub from Sub Shop and not Subway. But
and they put all those. Was it a local entity?
Yeah,
support
it's
local businesses
in Grove City, and it has
That's
on the wrapper.
Sub shop. What kind did you have, Brenton?
Turkey.
Just turkey?
Yeah.
What did Melissa have?
Turkey.
You both get turkey.
We just get the 18-inch one and cut it in half.
Oh, you split it. Okay, I respect that. I
get pickles on my half. Whatever.
Okay. That's important. This is content for people.
Yeah. Yeah. This is.
I like a roast beef.
Nah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. No.
Okay.
I'm not like when I go
horseradish, roast beef, horseradish, extra horseradish. If you can do it.
That's gross.
I'm sorry. You hear that?
I'm sorry for you to have to say it.
Why do you think it's gross?
It just is. I don't like it.
Doesn't make any sense. Saying just is, but we'll move on.
I don't like it. I don't like how it tastes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move on.
Got in my eye.
Our social media stuff, Brandon, I think is what you want to get into.
Yeah. Well, the BXG publishes the BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 9 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google, etc. Also on Monday for your
weekend hug. You just like warm wrap of that hug.
Yeah.
Get in there.
Get in there. Social media, Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GT Phils, at Y2B, Twitter at BXG Podcast, at GT Philson, at Y2B, YouTube, BXG Podcast for trailer reactions, reviews, food reviews, other things. And we have a Discord. Come hang out on our Discord.
Hang
with
out
us.
the Discord.
Drop some memes.
Meme it up.
We're very meme friendly.
We are.
I mean, you're not really in there, so.
You know what? I'll
just
be
like
honest,
me and one other person. It's kind of sad, actually.
I'm sorry. Like, I would like one summer hit happens.
Yeah,
I'll be in there. I'll probably be in there more than I should be, but I'll probably do nothing but memes and Discord. I'm just so tired, Britton. I'm sorry.
I don't know what that's. I don't know what that's like.
I'm tired.
I just feel
Okay.
the tired and move on. So
I'm
we have a
sorry.
movie.
We do have a
We have a
movie.
movie review for Senior Year, a popular girl obsessed with winning prom queen and living the perfect life has a cheerleading accident that leaves her in a coma for 20 years, as the same as our audible count here. The When she wakes up, she resumes her quest for popularity as though the last 20 years has not happened. Rebel Wilson stars. Senior Year.
I
Thoughts?
loved it. I absolutely love this movie. It brought me back. Yes, it is not as as offensive, or I didn't think these movies were offensive at that time, but it brought you back to movies of that era. When she graduated, they made fun of these things. They made fun of, like, you can't say certain words, you can't do certain things, but like they brought it up and they made fun of it in a way that was like okay and woke with the times, even though I hate saying woke. Uh, and but it also worked really well. And like Rubber Wilson got to do a Britney Spears video and all these things. It was super cool. And it's like it just to me worked really well. I thought the storyline worked. I mean, whatever you think, someone wakes up from a coma in 20 years, whatever. I mean, it's gonna be whatever it is. But it doesn't mean that that doesn't work. So for me, it was one of those things where it's just like she carried the movie really well. She looked really great. Good for her on losing weight. I know people were skeptical on that, but it really worked for me. She was someone who was super popular, and it's played by a different person at the beginning. And then she comes back after staying in the coma for 20 years as Rebel Wilson. And I thought it was really cool, like that building of coming back of like, oh, I was cool, and now I have to rebuild myself as cool. And it worked as like a teen movie of our era. And I know it sounds weird because I know, as a fifth grade teacher, my students call me old, but we're not really old. Like, I know that sounds weird, and we complain about being old, but being 37 is not old. There's so many people in our world that would love to be 37. And it's one of those things, 37, 38. And it's like, we're not really old. We're not even middle aged. We're just like kind of just there. We just exist. LeBron James is still playing basketball. I mean, this is one of those things. And Tom Brady's older than both of us. And so it's one of those
Yeah.
things where it's just you have to look at that kind of life. And that's the way I look at it, where it's just like she doesn't know any better. And I thought this movie was so funny. I haven't laughed like that at a movie that was new in a really long time. Janie and I have gone back and watched older movies, Billy Madison, a lot of Sandler stuff that she hasn't saw, and we laughed really hard. This is the first movie I like really remember laughing at really hard in several moments because I thought it was just really well done. And maybe I laughed harder than I should have because we just haven't seen something like this, but I really, really enjoyed this movie.
There were a few, I would say there were a few moments where I laughed out loud, but this was kind of a miss for me. I was
Oh, wow. Okay.
really hoping for more, but I think that this had some fundamental problems. Number one, I think there were pacing issues for me, and this was a fairly long movie for a comedy. I think it was about an hour and 45, but it felt rushed, and that was kind of weird. That it was a little bit longer and it felt rushed. So I think maybe I honestly think they kind of focused a little bit too much on like the pre-accident, her
I
life
can see that.
pre-accident. And then the other thing that I felt like was missing was they kind of sped through the area of the movie that it was like, okay, we're going to get you caught up to speed on everything in the last 20 years. Because I think that would be kind of in a Billy Madison like way. I think that's where the humor would have really been found in this story. And I kind of felt like based on the trailer, and we did the trailer reaction for it, that was kind of what they were shooting for, but I felt
Okay.
like they left a lot out.
I can
And
see that. Yeah.
I think that, like I said, there were some moments where I really laughed out loud, but I kind of felt like, like you said, like woke or whatever, and they said, okay, well, you can't say this word, you can't say that word. But I've really felt like at the end of the day, like she just still really wanted to be prom queen, and that kind of made her
Yeah.
just like less of a redeemable character because she still has this shallowness to her. And obviously she kind of gets through that towards the end, but I felt like it was just kind of, I don't know. It's just as a whole, like I said, there were some decent moments, but a couple of laugh out loud moments. But I did feel like, to a certain extent, that this was kind of almost A, pushing an agenda, and B, it was just not. It just didn't work for me the whole way through.
And I can see it. The thing I will say, Brenton, is something I agree with is like maybe it was pushing an agenda, but we at least don't see things like this anymore. Like even mention of certain words. I'm not going to get into what the words are. I mean, it's just like
Sure.
that's know, I don't, I just don't want to do that. But the thing I will say is, I agree what you said in some degree. But the thing I will say is, like, at least it tried pushing things. And some movies just don't try pushing anything anymore. And there's also this thing to me where it's just like, I still really like Rebel Wilson as, and this is something I will just say is like, she got really put down for getting skinny and for at least getting thinner. And
Right.
she still does the stuff that she does. She still rolls like all those things really matter, where she was doing the theatrics of being funny. And it's still funny to me. It's so funny. And it's like, she doesn't have to be, fat. She doesn't have to be thin. She doesn't be anything. It's like that kind of stuff still works. And I think that's actually, to me, more important than anything. It's just like Rebel Wilson, I think, who is 42 now, can still be really funny either way you look at that. And whether the movie works one way or the other for you is different. I totally agree. I mean, for me, maybe it was just one of those things where I may have liked it more because I just want to see something where someone tries anything that isn't, saccharine. And I mean, there's not been a good comedy in so long. I just don't even know anymore. Like, at least just push some limits. It didn't push all limits. I think what happens from a movie like this is hopefully someone watches it and like maybe we can push a little limit a little further and we go back to what it was, because yes, okay, the movies we grew up with, Brent, were they perfect? Were they, were they politically correct? No, they weren't.
No, not at all.
No,
not at
but
all.
You know what? Also,
That's what made them funny.
Exactly, they were funny. And there's some kind of thing where like we need to pussify the, and I hate to say this word because I don't like it, but people need to pussify and just like agree that some things are funny, even if it offends you. Like, here's the thing, and I'll just say this, okay? And
we did this episode, right? The
no, it's like we did the comedy episode, but I'm just gonna go like a little deeper. It's like a lot of my friends made fun of me because like I didn't really know my dad. And it's just like, and I know this gets deep, and I don't give a shit. Like, I actually don't give a shit. But like, that's funny to me. Like, make fun of me for that. And it's like, there's a lot of things you can say about that. And it's like, just get over it. Get over these things that you have that you think are so important, because they actually aren't, because we aren't on the earth for that long. Just like enjoy things that are funny. And like, if you want to make fun of things of like, saying certain words. And like I said, I'm not going to say these certain words because like I like having this podcast. I don't want to be canceled, but like just say these certain words because it's not that big of a deal. It's literally not that big of a deal. And it's only that big of a deal to people who are white women that live in Kansas who pretend to care, but then are just like, it's just that this kind of stuff just bugs me so much. And it's like, if you actually care, you'll actually care and you'll donate money to these things. But if you don't actually care, you're just saying stuff. And that's the kind of stuff. And it's like, yes, you may not have enjoyed this movie as much as I did, Brenton, but like at least it was a relief from something that was so saccharine they tried to do something different.
Yeah, sure. And again, Rebel Wilson lost a lot of great for her. I mean, it's awesome. She's very, not that she wasn't attractive before in a certain way, but
right.
I think, she's a good looking lady. But the other thing is, and I find her quite delightful in everything I've ever seen her in. I think she's very funny. Yeah. She's very charming. But to me, this wasn't about all of that per se. And it was just kind of like, there were elements there that could have been polished a little bit more to add a little bit more humor. And I think that the pacing got out of control in certain places where there could have been a moment where we, like, for example, and you can kind of see in the picture behind me here, she's holding a TI-81 whatever Texas Instruments calculator, pretending that it's her cell phone. And I felt like they could have made a better joke about that, or they could have made it better. I mean, they hit certain things like, oh my God, there's 9 more Fast and Furious movies and stuff like that. But I felt like that was what the trailer was showing us. And instead of getting this sort of like person out of time version of Billy Madison, we got just another teen prom movie. And that to me was kind of a bummer, because I was looking for the humor of this person who was gone and is now trying to catch up.
And so I will say, I'll piggyback off that, is this movie is supposed to be set in her timeline. And 2003, 2004, 2005 was all these prom movies.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of what
she was out at 2002 was when she was
right. And I'm saying, but the movie era of this is like all these prom movies. So I think what made it work for me was the fact that she literally just like, she was living out a movie of that era. And now this just is coming out now. And so it's like, it's a prom of those movies. So it's 2022, but we're looking at a movie that realistically comes out in 2023, 2024, 2025, whatever. That's the way I look at this movie, is that it still can't be offensive, like in a sense, because it's still that kind of era. And if you watch, and I'll make a recommendation about like a movie that came out that time, but it's just like, it was a movie of that era, not our era.
I don't know that anything that you just said made sense to me, but that's fine. I appreciate the fact that they made that they tried to make a comedy movie. The other thing too, hang on. The only other thing was that like, this was a rated R comedy. I mean, there were several F-bombs, but it's not like they used that to their advantage other than to drop F-bombs.
Nah, right. So I didn't even know it was rated R until we finished.
Till the end. They don't even come till the end, and then there's like 6.
Yeah.
And that's it. They could have done a lot more with, and certain things that she did, particularly, I really found to be funny, because they're like things that I would do.
Right.
Like when they're doing the cheerleading scene and she just like walks over and knocks some of the like Gatorade bottles on the ground or whatever. I thought that stuff like that was funny in some of the physical humor, but overall it just didn't work for me.
I mean, I'm sorry, it didn't work. I just want to clarify what I mean. It's like, is that 2003 through 2006 comedy, like teen comedy movies, were all this? And like, it kind of just brought me back to this. Is like, someone wants to be prom queen, they'll do whatever they can, and then there's a redeeming arc behind it. And that's what I really liked about that. And it kind of just brought me back in time. That's probably why I like this movie. It's just, it brought me back in time to something that was better. And it's like, because comedies now are too woke and aren't funny. Comedies aren't funny anymore. And this at least tried to be funny, whether you thought it was funny or not. At least this tried to be funny.
Sure.
Yeah.
So would you give it out of 10?
7.
7?
7.
Straight 7.
Yeah.
It's like a 5.5 for me.
Okay.
That's where I'm at with that. So what's that
so
average out to? 6.75?
25?
6.25. Yeah.
6.25.
Not great with math. Let's talk about
I'm a fifth grade teacher.
Survivor. Yeah. Survivor. The Castaways are getting blindsided more than a Carolina Panthers quarterback.
Blindside.
In the reward challenge, contestants must complete an obstacle course and solve a puzzle. Omar wins the challenge.
Omar.
Is
they
it
say
Omar?
his name so weird. It's Omar or something.
Is it ER?
I don't even know anymore. It's Omar or Omar or they say his name so weird.
Yeah.
It bugs me a lot.
Sometimes they say it. Omer. This is funny. This is a complete aside. Time to admit to yourself that the MCU fell off. I've been admitting that now for
how long have we been on that?
3 years. Okay, so I'm going to start this over. The Castaways are getting blindsided more than a Carolina Panthers quarterback. In the reward challenge, contestants must complete an obstacle course and solve a puzzle. Omer wins the challenge and chooses the cake and cookies for himself. Marianne, Romeo, who's still somehow there, and Big Mike. The immunity challenge sees Lindsay take down Jonathan. And the obvious pick is to oust Big J. However, Mike and Marianne pull an okie doke. And Marianne uses her extra vote to eliminate Omer after Lindsay and Omer made the choice to not use her idol for him for fear that it would return back into circulation on the island. So the guy that we said was in pole position last week.
Yeah.
On.
Well, it just tells you how much this game changes. And Marianne, what a way to play this fucking game. Honestly, I did not talk highly of Marianne.
No, you said if Jonathan murdered her on camera, you would say you didn't see anything.
Right. And
correct quote.
Honestly, when I said that, I don't disagree with what I said, but good for her. She's obviously watched the show and understood what the game's about. And Omer, as smart as he was, I got so tired of his smugness. I got so tired of it. And it's you kind of knew he was out, especially the name of the episode was Caterpillar to Butterfly. I saw that and I wish they didn't name the episodes. I really wish they didn't because the name of the episodes kind of tell you what's going. And once someone said
it was
that
Marianne.
He was that.
It was Marianne that said that. Yeah.
It was Marianne. I was he's done. And it was I knew he was done. You're just waiting for how it would play out. So good for Marianne. I think now we're at a point where I have no idea. I honestly I don't know who will win. Jonathan is the best person left at doing certain physical things, but that doesn't obviously mean anything on this show. It doesn't mean anything.
I think that,
and you're the wizard, Brent. So
I'm the wizard.
You're the wizard of this show.
I've watched 2 seasons. Went out the first night. I'm not the
that doesn't mean anything. I'll be 100%. That does not mean anything. None of this. That doesn't mean anything.
I can see. So when the jury gets to ask questions of the final 3, and I can kind of see how in my head right now. So we're down to 5. Okay. So I'm going to power rank them in my opinion of who is likeliest to win to who is least likely to win. So number 1 for me is Lindsay. I think that she's played strategically. She's also won some challenges.
Yeah.
She's played socially. I don't think she's really pissed anybody off. So she's number 1. Number 2 is Marianne. She just pulled a big move and she engineered. So now she's got a big move on her resume. Plus she's likable. And I think that goes a long way. She didn't make anybody mad. I hate that what I'm about to say is a thing, but it is a thing. She's probably going to carry the black vote. So all of those people who got sent to the jury, all the African-American people, probably going to vote for Marianne. I will say number 3 to me is probably Jonathan.
Yeah.
Or it's probably Jonathan. And it has less to do with Jonathan and more to do with Mike. And I think the reason why Mike falls a little bit lower is because he said constantly, over and over again. I play this game with honor and integrity. I gave you my word. I wouldn't lie to anybody. And then he votes people out.
Right.
So some people are going to see that as gameplay, but if he's going to stand up there and say, well, I played this game honorably, everybody's going to say, no, you didn't. And then finally is Romeo. And I don't even know how that guy's still there.
How is he still there? Like literally, like that's one of the things. That was my first question, Brandon. You is like, how does Romeo still exist? Because like I said, I haven't watched
he's
this
just
since the
at
first
this point, he's a goat. And he's
right.
probably at
not
this point,
a Jordan goat, but
no, like a Billy goat, like the Chicago Cubs goat. And what's going to happen is he's going to make Final Three.
Oh, sure. Yeah. 100%,
and that's because everybody else sitting there knows that he's not going to get a single vote. So you want someone like that sitting next to you.
Like I said, I've not watched the show in 20 years. How does it end up? Because the season finale is next week. So it's not a competition for the last three. It's the panel that decides, right?
This is what happens for Final Three is they'll have one more immunity and tribal that way. Okay. And that'll get us, because it's a 2-hour episode. So that'll get us down to 4. Then there will be a final immunity challenge. But what happens at the final immunity challenge is whoever wins is safe, guaranteed a spot at the final 3. They then choose one person to sit next to them, and the other 2 have to participate in a fire building contest. And whoever wins the fire building contest becomes the 3rd person in the final 3.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And then the council decides.
Yeah. Then the jury decides who wins.
That
goes out of the hands of.
Is this a thing?
It's always been that.
I know, but is this the thing that people from Survivor like? That jury decides.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, because it's part of the game, jury management.
Part of the game. Okay.
How do I eliminate people without pissing them off to the point that they won't vote for me?
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So who's your favorite then? Like absolute favorite. Lindsay's your. Okay,
well, the problem with Lindsay is she's going to be on the outs now.
Yeah. I would say.
I think if she gets to the end, she wins. After that, it's kind of a crapshoot.
Lindsay is definitely my favorite too. I thought this is rough because like I actually like Lindsay. I mean, and like there's nothing about Lindsay I dislike. Just like Jonathan, it's just like they're the top 2 people in the show, and it's not close.
Right.
Like in the actual performance, and they have Marianne, who like. I will honestly say Marianne's done one good thing this entire show, and it took this long to get to it. And I don't know how she made it this far. It's one of those things where she could have been voted out 3rd episode in, and like it wouldn't have been, nobody would have been shocked. I don't know how she made it. Part of it
with her is the same as it kind of is with Romeo, in that if I'm Lindsay and I have the option to sit next to Marianne and Romeo, you write me the check before the final tribal council.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now, and this is the thing, is that Marianne's making moves late in the game. And it's kind of like reading a book. Yeah. You remember what happens at the beginning, you remember what happens at the end, and you kind of forget the stuff that happens in the middle. And I think that does not bode well for Jonathan, because where he was the strongest was probably in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, as he continued to lose weight, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. He's not really tactical or strategic. And so all he's done is win challenges.
Well, I think Marianne wins.
You think Marianne wins?
I think Mary wins. I think she does. I don't know why I think that. I just think like based off of the way this show is and how it doesn't necessarily make sense. I think she wins.
I will say, based on the previews for the finale, she's talking about getting Jonathan out, and if she's able to orchestrate getting him eliminated, and is able to sit final 3, then I think that she's got a great shot.
I think she.
I had her number 2 in the power ranking. So
yeah, you did.
So Top Chef is the final thing on the docket tonight, and we had, what is this, episode 11? I think of Top Chef, something like that.
Yep.
After fighting her way through last chance kitchen chef Sarah Welsh returns to the competition, and she is very socially awkward. I just want to say
She is. Yeah.
the quickfire challenge, the chefs had to make a seafood dish on a beach in an open air kitchen with sand blowing and everything, out of a fresh catch. And
Yes.
it was Houston's own Evelyn Garcia winning the quickfire, her first quickfire of the season, with a Thai Cajun spin, crafting oysters on the half shell. This was a hot and cold thing.
Yeah.
Crafting oysters on the half shell with, what the hell was that?
Big yawn. Sorry.
It sounded like a lion burping.
Oh, I'm sorry. I literally think it was loud. Sorry, everyone.
Crafting oysters on the half shell with fish sauce, vinaigrette, chili oil, and crispy shallots, and a no frills Thai Cajun boil with Thai chili butter and roasted lime. For the elimination round, chefs had to make a dish for a family style meal at a beach house. The family VIP guest list was the different members of each chef's family. So we had Ashley's mom, Buddha's wife, Nick's grandma or mom, one or the other, Damar's mentor, because his family couldn't make it for health reasons. So we all kind of got to see, kind of like where some of these people came from. The winner was Buddha Lowe, who made the quote unquote marry me pasta, a rustic dish of pasta that was the first dish his wife made for him, which is kind of nice. Nice. The loser here, much to Greg's chagrin, I know he wanted her to stick around for a while, was Ashley, who served a Pela inspired heirloom rice with red shrimp and undercooked calamari. Her biggest mistake of all, according to Judge Calicchio. She was sent packing for the second time. This time there will be no last chance to save her. Didn't cook those tentacles at all.
No, Ashley's not good at cooking. If Ashley showed up at my house,
she's good at cooking.
I don't know if
she's just not good at cooking on this.
She's not good at cooking this. Honestly, I think if she came to my house and said she cooked me a dinner, I'd pass. I honestly think I would.
That's harsh.
I don't trust her. I don't think she's that good at it. I think there's a lot of times where like people have other people that help them. And I think it's one of those things where like, I don't think she's that good at this. I don't think her ideas were good. I just don't. I don't think even in times where she wasn't eliminated, she could have been. She was always very close to be eliminated. I think some people just skirt by in their life. And I think she's one of these people that just has skirted by. I don't think she's good. I just will flat out say, I think in the scheme of this show, I think this was a miss on this show. I really do. I think there were people that were better than her that got eliminated and never came back that were way better than her. And I just don't think she was good at this. And it proved through where she got, to be eliminated once on Top Chef is something, to be eliminated twice is something else. And there's something you said, like you're cooking under pressure. And that's kind of the job. So for me, like, she just doesn't do it for me. And like the way she kind of, the thing I think is what I don't like about the way she cooked, the way she goes about it, is she's kind of just laissez-faire about it. She doesn't seem that upset about it. Everybody else seems so upset about it when they lose. And she's like, oh, you know what? She makes so many excuses. And it's like, I would never, ever go to a place. If I saw her name was the head chef, I'd move on. I don't trust her. I don't think that she's someone to be trusted.
What?
And no, I mean, I don't think she's someone to be trusted at a restaurant. I don't think I'm going to get the best food I can get in that area. I would trust somebody else, no matter where she's cooking. I would move on to a different restaurant because I don't think she knows how to cook under pressure. And if I'm going to a restaurant that's packed, there are people that just don't have palates that are that good, and maybe she can suffice past that. But like for people that understand the way food should be cooked, I don't think she knows what she's doing. I literally don't think she knows what she's doing, and I don't care about her awards. I think like people skirt by. This show is an emblem of that. I don't think she's that good. I really don't, because when she didn't lose, there were still meals she made that I thought were so subpar and so below low level dining for this kind of thing. I just don't think she's good. I'm not wishing. I'm not. There's nothing I want against her. I'm not saying anything against her. I just don't think she's good at what she does. I really don't. I 100% don't think she's good at what she does. She might be the worst contestant in this show in a long time. I 100% believe that.
She made it to top 6. She won restaurant wars.
To me, that does not matter. I think there's a lot of times where you can just skirt by based off other things. She could not perform under pressure. And she admitted it twice. Both times she lost, she's like, I do not do well under pressure. And that to me is cooking.
I think your criticism is a little harsh.
Sure, it could be.
I don't trust her. Like, what does that mean?
I just don't trust her to cook me a good meal. I would not trust her to come in here and cook me an entire meal that I would enjoy. I would not. Based off everybody else that was there, I would not trust her.
I don't really have anything to add. I thought the quick fire was stupid because
the quick fire was real stupid, Brendan. You're right. Yeah.
They got like sand.
Yeah, the quick fire was
like
dumb.
That was dumb. And then I did think it was funny when they tried to have the judges table outside and the weather didn't cooperate, and then they were just all crammed into this little space. Weird. That was funny to me. The quick fire was dumb. It was kind of neat to see everybody. It was kind of neat to see because they started to realize, because they're each given like a packet. It says like this person likes this, whatever. It was neat to see them try to figure it out, you know, and like go from there. But there's, I don't know how many they're moving to the next. I don't understand why they do this, where it's like, this is Top Chef Seattle, but the last 3 episodes are going to be in Cancun.
Right.
Like what? So they're moving locations. I forget where.
Who knows? Next thing in Top Chef is going to be international, by the way. All international. Yeah.
Where? All international chefs?
It doesn't. It said all international locations.
Okay. All right. Well, when's that?
Probably this time next year.
Okay. Media recommendations.
I have Against Empathy. It's a book by Paul Bloom. Sounds weird because like a lot of people think empathy is good, but the argument he makes is that empathy is actually kind of lazy in a way to not actually help people. It's a really good book. I really enjoy it. Romancing the Stone, Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. This is back in 1983. This movie's crazy, but I love it. If you just want to have a fun time, if you just don't want to think about things, go ahead and watch this. Really fun. It's Michael Douglas's first real feature film. Our Father is a show on Netflix, a movie, a docu-movie about this doctor who literally just artificially inseminates a lot of people and has a bunch of kids that they don't know about because he said that it was going to be other people that were artificially inseminating people, and then he just puts his seed. Batter. He puts his little pancake batter in everybody, and so he has a lot of kids that aren't people don't know about, and it becomes very rough. This show is very gross and very weird, and you get very mad about it, but it's also very intriguing. A Cinderella Story, a little movie from the early 2000 eras, starring Hilary Duff. It's just cute. It's just a cute movie. I mean, it moves. And then Harry's House comes out today, the day this show comes out. It's Harry Styles. I already know I'll love it. It's getting great reviews. Harry Styles is one of my favorite artists. So I'm just very excited about that. What about you, Brent?
I started watching We Own This City, which is a show we're going to review when it concludes here in a couple weeks. I'll save most of my thoughts for that when it happens, but the show is awesome. It's
Looks
really,
awesome.
really good. I feel like of everything I've watched this year, it's a cut above everything else. It's really great. But we'll see how it wraps up because there's 2 more episodes. It could fall off a cliff.
How many total episodes, Brenton? Just for
six.
Great.
Yeah. Yep. So that's pretty much it for me. I've been watching that, and then everything else that we do for the show. So the show, the BXG podcast, publishes every Friday and Monday at 9 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, and other podcast services. You can find us on social media at BXG Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, YouTube, and BXG Podcast. And the Discord, come hang out. Talk about it. Talk about that shit with us. That work. I listened to the new Kendrick album too, I should say. Kendrick Lamar. It's really good.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it is. Definitely.
I'll check it out. I haven't listened to it yet.
It's rap album of the year. Write it down.
Okay. I'll listen to it. We'll talk about it next week, Brendan. Let's do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
All right. Take care, friends. Thanks for watching,
Thanks for
listening. Subscribe to the bell. Blah, 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 blah. Good night.
All that stuff.